And India's decision to raise rates was meant to support its currency. Our reporter Shraysi Tandon spoke to Indian Finance Minister Palaniappan Chidambaram about the rupee and the challenges it faces, as well as other economic and social issues. And they also touched about bilateral ties between India and China.
China is one of our largest trading partners. We were growing at a clipping rate until last year, but in the last year and a half, it's more or less stagnated. That's because of the slowdown in both countries. But we think we'll get out of this very soon and it will grow again. The target for two-way trade is $100 billion, and we hope we can achieve it in about 2-3 years.
The rupee remains quite low and weak against the US dollar. It's also been quite volatile recently. Where do you see the rupee headed in the near future?
The rupee has stabilized over the last 4 months. It weakened following the US hint of taper, but then it recovered smartly from below 68 rupees to a dollar to now yesterday 61.81 to a dollar. And it has been stable between 61 and 62, which we think is more or less the correct exchange rate.
Yeah, you talked about the U.S. tapering. How prepared is the Indian economy for the tapering of the stimulus package, and what measures is the economy taking to prepare itself?
When the U.S. hinted at taper in May, everybody was taken by surprise. But I think since then they have nuanced their position. They have promised to consult other countries, especially emerging economies. Meanwhile, we have added to our foreign exchange reserves. We have liberalized the rules of investment for FDI, for FII. We have done a number of capital market reforms. And we think we are much better prepared to handle the consequence of a taper today than we were in May last year. And we also think that the US is not going to do the kind of sequential taper that was hinted in May. It perhaps will do taper in a very different way. For example, what they announced was only one $10 billion step down from 85 billion US dollars to 75 billion US dollars. It's not a sequential taper, but we'll have to wait and see what the new governor does after she assumes office on the 1st of February.
One of the big topics here at the World Economic Forum is poverty and talking about how to alleviate poverty. As we know, India is no stranger to this issue. The World Bank estimated that over almost 70% of Indians live on under $2 a day. What measures can the Indian government take to perhaps alleviate or improve the situation of poverty on the ground?
That's not a correct figure. You can set the bar where you like. But we think about 32% of Indians live below the poverty line. But we have lifted 140 million people above the poverty line in the last few years. The rate of reduction of poverty has been 1.5% a year over the last 5 years. China has lifted nearly 500 million people above the poverty line. India has lifted about 150 million people above the poverty line. These are not insignificant achievements. As growth picks up, as real wages rise, as infrastructure is rolled out, I think more and more people will be lifted above the poverty line. And if the rate of reduction of poverty is 1.5% a year, or improves to, say, close to 2% a year, we can see a significant reduction in poverty in India.
That was our Shraysi Tandon speaking with the Indian Finance Minister Palaniappan Chidambaram.